If you're watching this right now, there's a reason. You didn't just click because of curiosity. You clicked because something in your home doesn't feel right, and you don't have the language for it. Maybe it's the way your dog suddenly freezes and stares at the same corner every night. Maybe it's the low growl that comes out of nowhere, the barking at the exact same time each night, the pacing, the refusal to enter a certain room, and everyone around you keeps telling you it's nothing. They say dogs hear things we can't. They say animals are dramatic. I used to say the same things. I said them while standing inside ritual circles. I said them while calling on spirits. I said them while watching animals react to things humans were blind to. Let me tell you who I am, because what I am about to say doesn't come from guessing or imagination. I was deeply involved in witchcraft, not the harmless-looking version people joke about. I worked with summoned entities, territorial spirits, and what we called watchers. I learned how spirits attach to locations, how they move through homes, and how they reveal themselves long before humans notice anything is wrong. And one truth was always consistent. Animals are never confused. They are responding. Your dog is not barking at empty corners. That corner is occupied. I didn't walk away from the occult because I got bored. I walked away because the things I invited stopped waiting for permission. They started showing up when I wasn't calling them. They stood in doorways. They lingered in corners. They hovered near ceilings. And the first ones to react were always the animals. Tonight, I'm going to explain something most churches don't teach, most pastors avoid, and many people sense but don't understand. I am going to explain why dogs react before humans do, what they are actually seeing, how these presences enter homes, and why they don't leave just because you ignore them. This isn't meant to scare you. Fear is not the goal. Awareness is, because what you don't confront doesn't leave. Animals perceive the spiritual environment differently than humans. In occult practice, we never tested spiritual presence on people first. Humans are distracted, dulled, and trained to explain things away. Animals are not. Dogs in particular operate with heightened sensitivity to atmosphere, pressure, and vibration. They don't imagine things. They react to shifts in the environment. When a presence enters a home, it doesn't announce itself. It settles, it observes, it waits, and animals feel the shift immediately. The temperature drops slightly. The air feels heavier. The space feels wrong. Not enough for a human to notice, but enough for an animal to respond. That's why your dog doesn't bark randomly. It barks at the same corner, the same hallway, the same doorway. Corners matter. In ritual work, corners are anchor points. They allow observation without engagement. Humans rarely stare into corners for long. Dogs do. When your dog locks its gaze on one spot and refuses to break eye contact, that's not confusion. That's awareness. And when the barking turns into a low growl, that's not fear, that's warning. Animals understand territory spiritually. Humans forgot how. Not every presence enters a home by accident. Some are assigned. In the occult, we call them watchers. Their job wasn't possession. Their job was influence, observation, waiting for the right moment. These presences attach to open doors. Doors can be opened through trauma, unresolved grief, bitterness, fear. Spoken words made in desperation or objects tied to spiritual agreements. People don't realize how often they open doors without meaning to. Your dog reacts because animals do not negotiate with intruders. They don't rationalize. They don't explain things away. They respond. And once a presence realizes an animal can see it, it begins testing dominance. That's when the barking becomes aggressive. That's when pets refuse to sleep. That's when pacing starts. I've watched this happen. I've caused it to happen, and that truth still weighs on me. Most activity happens at night for a reason. It's not because darkness itself is evil. It's because humans disengage. We sleep, we stop praying, we stop speaking authority. The home becomes quiet, spiritually unguarded. Animals don't disengage. At night, the spiritual atmosphere changes. Resistance is lower. Silence increases. That's when activity becomes noticeable. That's why dogs bark at specific hours, not randomly. And if you notice the behavior started after a major life shift, a loss, a move, depression, anxiety, or fear, that's not coincidence. Presences attached to transitions. Your dog isn't misbehaving. It's responding to intrusion. Spirits do not wander aimlessly. They anchor themselves, and they anchor to objects. In occult work, objects were used intentionally to invite and sustain presence. Mirrors, figurines, heirlooms, gifts from unknown sources, items connected to grief or past trauma, even decorations with symbolism people don't recognize. If your dog refuses to enter a room, that room likely contains an anchor. If it stares at a shelf, a piece of furniture, or a specific corner, that's where the presence is strongest. Animals react to proximity. Removing the object alone often makes things worse because the anchor might be gone, but the permission remains. One of the biggest mistakes people make is ignoring spiritual disturbances. Ignoring them doesn't make them disappear. It teaches them they are unchallenged. Presences grow bolder when they are unacknowledged. That's when barking turns into whimpering. That's when pets become sick. That's when behavior changes suddenly and dramatically. Animals absorb atmospheric stress. They carry it physically. If your dog has changed since this started, that's not coincidence. That's exposure. Here's where hope enters, and it's not vague. Authority matters, not emotional authority. Legal authority. In the spiritual realm, hierarchy is real. Presences respond to alignment, not volume. When authority grounded in truth enters a space, the atmosphere shifts instantly. Animals feel it before humans do. That's why dogs calm down when prayer is spoken with confidence, not because of sound, but because jurisdiction changes. Your home is not neutral. It belongs to someone. Either it's governed or it's accessible. If your dog is barking tonight, don't yell at it, don't mock it, don't ignore it. Stand up, speak out loud, declare peace, renounce any open doors you're aware of. Invite God's authority into every room. Speak calmly, firmly, without fear. Animals respond immediately when authority is established. If calm returns after prayer, that's not coincidence, that's confirmation. I am sharing this because silence protects darkness. I didn't leave the occult to stay quiet. What your dog sees isn't imagination, it's awareness. And if this message reached you, it's because you needed confirmation that you're not crazy, you're not. Your dog isn't barking at nothing.